Last Friday, I went back to Tiffin, Ohio, the town I grew up in, and gave a speech. I'm running for the governor of Ohio against Vivek Ramaswamy. One of the things that I realized from this speech is not only do people really understand what's going on, they really appreciate the truth. And they genuinely know Vivek must be destroyed.
This is my hometown where I grew up, Tiffin, Ohio. It means a lot to me. Big thank you to Aaron over here for making things happen, of course. But I am Casey Putsch, and this is my lovely Lieutenant Governor pick, Kim Georgeton. Kim drove up from Cincinnati tonight, and I'm frankly incredibly honored and pleased to have her on this ticket. She's a fantastic wife and mother to her family, and she's a fighter in her own merit, going out, taking the initiative, responsibility, running for office. She was against COVID lockdowns when they're happening, and she even knows how to field strip an AR-15. So I'm darn happy to have her here on this campaign. But something struck me the other day. You know, in running for office in the last 2 months, I have been drinking from a fire hose. When you think socially, culturally, especially politically. And yeah, I even learned some things that maybe I didn't want to learn, the way the world may actually work from behind the scenes. But sometimes some really great and profound things come. And I heard it said that if you really care about somebody, you tell them the truth. If you care about yourself, you tell them a lie. Well, the fact of the matter is that's basically all we see from Washington politicians are lies. They just are. It's just one more political science, strategic implementation of how far are we going to shift the Overton window today? Are you counter-signaling this? And I've gotten very tired of that. And I mean this, there frankly actually is no left and right. It's basically a psyop so that our two parties can keep everybody fighting and divided and in the barrels they want them at any given time to corral them and shoot them. You know, this is where I grew up. We came here when I was about 3 years old. The family bought a business, Seneca Hills Golf Course. It was out, what was that? South on Route 53. Well, sadly, it's not there anymore. And I'll get to that. But being part of that family business growing up, we had to be responsible for ourselves. Now, having a golf course in Ohio is not much different than being a fancy grass farmer that throws parties every day for the public. That's basically what it is. You're beholden to the weather. You're beholden to the economy, how people are doing. Whether you get to put food on your table relates to how well the economy is actually doing for everybody else there. And growing up in Tiffin here, we worked the family business. So all the many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, I don't know how many people I saw growing up. We'd talk to them. We'd hear their conversations, the things that bother them, the things that make them laugh, because they would sure get a lot of cases of beer and golf carts. So you'd hear everything, of course. But you know, you'd have your blue-collar guys that were golfing in their leagues. You'd have the Catholic League. You'd have everything league. You have white-collar guys. You have lawyers and doctors, so you heard it all. And as a kid, I would hear about when manufacturing started leaving the United States in the 80s and 90s. We know that in Tiffin when plants would close. We know what that did to Tiffin. People still feel those effects. They still know that. And you know, if you look back in the 80s as a kid, I couldn't possibly have known what the future would hold. But you know, the thing about before the internet and social media is, regardless of your community or culture, you could at least feel proud of yourself. And that's just not Tiffin. Whether you're a factory worker, you live on the north side of town, or whether you live in New York somewhere. Everybody got to be more proud about their own cultures and where they are, whereas now with social media, we're just being obliterated all the time, just being divided. So the golf course is what gave me that start, and you're a product of what made you. But going beyond having the family business, there's a lot of military members of the family going back. Now, I got a small family. Both my parents were only children. But my grandfather was Battle of Okinawa, World War II, Army infantry. His younger brother was F-4 Phantoms in Vietnam, nuclear B-52s during Cold War, and later flew for the Ohio Air Guard. Their brother-in-law flew everything through World War II. Their father was both World Wars, and their father's father was in the cavalry. Now, wars are not the best thing of humanity in our history. But they are something we go through when you actually have to fight for something bigger than you and for the future and your family that can have a better tomorrow. But I'm a product of that. And I bring that up because I never intended, it was never on my bingo card to run for governor. Never on my life bingo card. But in the last 6 years, I saw our culture being nothing but divided for political gain through social media, psyops. And I hated it. And a few years back, I started thinking more seriously about, can I stop being just an automotive YouTuber? Can I use my voice to do more of something good for values in America? And it sent me on a journey. I even thought about running for Congress for some time, didn't quite do that. I spoke out a year and a half ago with a high-efficiency car I built because I wanted to see Trump be elected over Kamala at the time, so I stuck my neck out there. But in the last year and a half right now, look at Ohio governor, our choices. We have a woman that's a Democrat that resigned as the health director, citing the pressure was too great for her. And she was instrumental in locking down the entire state during COVID. So we can see our businesses go out of business, livelihoods destroyed, life savings. That's the best the Democrats can do. And then for the Republicans, which that's the party I consider myself aligned with, that's where I vote and see values that I think are the values that built America. Built America in such a great nation that now we live in a time where it seems like everything just wants to take advantage of it, steal from it, undermine it in every way, shape, and form. And we've got a guy that came out of nowhere as a so-called billionaire in Ohio from Big Pharma that just took all Donald Trump's talking points, hired his leftover people, ran for president. Didn't even get 2% of the vote. Couldn't beat Krispy Kreme Christie. So he bounced out and supported Donald Trump. Okay, that's politics. Keeps doing his thing, gets appointed to Doge with Elon. Last time I checked, he didn't do no Dogeing. That's the way I like to put it. So this is a guy who ran for president and then got appointed to Doge by the president, which I would argue is a more important role than the governor of Ohio. Ohio has a $100 billion a year budget. 12 million people live here. But Doge can save the whole nation many hundreds of billions of dollars. But he didn't stay to do that important work for the betterment of the nation. Suddenly kind of leaves on weird terms, then whoop, astroturfed into Ohio. Way too early, clearing the field, buying their way in. No, something stinks. As my grandmother would say, something's rotten in Denmark. And I didn't like it, and it bothered me a lot. Because I knew it was unnatural and it was wrong. And that was the moment I really started questioning, frankly, everything in the orbit of our president. And I didn't like it. I did some serious thinking. I actually kind of want to run against him then, got talked out of it. But over the course of the year, my soul was burning. That's the most succinct way I can put it. My soul was on fire. I couldn't take it. I couldn't stand it because I knew Vivek was all wrong. I don't even want to say his name. This is a guy that has doubled his net worth in the last 8 months just running for office. Mind you, running for office on the donations of taxpayers. What's he doing for anybody? That $2 billion? He went to high school in the Cincinnati area, private Catholic school, despite oddly enough being a practicing Hindu who was born to Indian foreign nationals. And then he's a practicing Hindu, left Ohio to go be with the tech bros. In a recent interview was making over $600,000 a year while still in college, but still managed to take a $50,000 scholarship from George Soros family money. It was a Soros family scholarship. That's kind of weird. But this is a guy now wanting to run for the Ohio governor who has no businesses in Ohio. Despite being worth $2 billion, he's done no philanthropy in Ohio. He's built no schools. Now I heard him say a thing, I've donated like $100,000 to charity. Well, first of all, we know how that game is played typically. $100,000. You're worth $2 billion. He's already registered on his campaign. They spent something like $700,000 in private jet fuel campaigning in the state of Ohio in the last 6 months. So he's done nothing for anybody. But he's running for governor of Ohio. That bothers me. Some other things bothered me before I got to this point. Data centers. Did any of us know what the heck these were 6 months ago? Hardly. No. There's a reason for that. The tech bros and the billionaires, they knew what they were doing. It's a stopgap measure. We did not, as a nation, our leadership plan ahead, because the data race, AI, it's a nuclear arms race. It's the new one. So they have to build it right now, but there's no foresight for building all the power generation in parts of the nation that it would work well. The reason it's in Ohio is because we have dense power. We have good infrastructure, relatively cheap power. And they knew they could slip them in fast under the cover of the night, buy everybody off at the key roles, have everybody sign NDA forms. That's why you never heard anything talked about. And they could slip them in, and they get tax abatements for 10 or 15 years and not pay taxes. And even a smaller one of these is a $1 billion project. There's something like 200 already being built and more on the way. But the other big thing they need is fresh water for cooling, because the only two things these things do is think and create heat. It's basically a heater that thinks. So they need Lake Erie, they need the Ohio River, they need the rest of our streams and rivers. But what do we have here? Aquifers. The same aquifers that are being destroyed by giant landfills and such, that nobody's seeming to know about. And the other thing coming down the pipeline is we start to see them talking about rights to underground water, even if you own the land, for farmers and such, because the tech bros want it for nothing. They hire a small amount of people. The one up right where I live in Perrysburg hires like, right here, maybe 100 people for maintenance jobs, $85,000 a year. And if I do my math and right, that's about $8.5 million a year for taxes. It's a $1 billion project with tax abatements. Oh, by the way, we're going to have to subsidize the cost of the electricity because they're not building any new power generation. So all of our bills are going to skyrocket. So we can help pay for the thing that the tech bros become greater billionaires over, so they can have the power to go through all of our information, all of our documents, and have authoritarian control over us. Oh, but hey, it creates 100 jobs. No. They're a leech. And they knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew exactly how to take advantage of us. Truth is, we're not going to make them all go away right now. But we have to have leadership that knows how to push back, that knows what they actually are. Because there is a way to do it that negotiates, that's more power generation. Why shouldn't they be investing in our electrical infrastructure so that our electricity bills go down? And they can still do that. Why shouldn't they be being studied as a whole together, that they can be put in places that won't have an environmental impact? Because last time I checked, if you get rid of the left and right notion, the environment's actually something we all care about. If there's any fishermen or hunters in here, you all spent a lot of hours sitting in a tree stand or standing in a stream, and we all know about the health of our environment pretty darn well. So that's not good. Something else that bothered me. Hear about the H-1B visas? That's a federal issue largely, yes, but 72% of them come from India. The rest largely from China. Old Vivek, oh, that's a coincidence. His parents are Indian foreign nationals. I think his dad still isn't a citizen. He's got real good relationships there, doesn't he? Yeah, they want him. Why? Grok. That's Elon Musk's AI on X. You can ask Grok. I did. Tesla alone saves between $100 and $200 million a year hiring H-1B visa workers instead of Americans. Why? You can pay them less. You can take advantage of them more if you're a corporation or a billionaire. That's the whole point. It's cheap foreign labor that they can bring in, screw all the Americans, all the heritage Americans, all the Ohioans, screw all the young people that want to be able to afford a home, that paid their way through college, that are in debt, that did everything right. No, because our corporations are facilitated by gutless, bought-out politicians. Or worse yet, what I consider a globalist Trojan horse, which is exactly what Vivek is. He's a globalist Trojan horse for the billionaire tech elite. So H-1Bs. Not only is there instantaneous, it's not even real competition, but not only instantaneously are there loads less jobs, guess what also happens? The salaries for everybody goes down because now there's competition. You don't have to pay them as much. The H-1B visas, and exactly what Vivek represents and why you won't say anything on it, is it's literally all of these things from data centers to H-1B, and the list goes on. It is only to sell us out, period. We're at a point in American history right now where I look around, I think back to when I lived in Tiffin, when I was a kid. American Standard Planet closed. Here, everybody golfing at the golf course. Remember 2008? Remember the financial crisis? Yeah, I remember what that did to things back when. I remember that was about the time my parents were thinking of selling the golf course and no one would lend to anything. And eventually, because no one would lend to it in a small town, even though it was a business that's been around since the 60s and doing well, it got sold for peanuts to somebody who really didn't have any business running it, who wasn't a Tiffin person. Now, we left then. It was a sad thing. But I can tell you this. If you go to the place that it's at right now, it's dirt. How many decades of a community care, assets of a community, gone? That's Washington, D.C. That's lending. That's what our government does to us. And when I stop and think, I said this on Tucker Carlson, because I want to mention a few things that I've done and what I saw also. I was on Tucker Carlson about a year ago, his show, nice man. And I said to him, nothing has changed in my entire lifetime. When I look back, let's think of all of us. What's changed since the 80s or 90s? I mean this like the simplest answer wins. The answer is nothing, because everybody still wants to work. They still want to have a family. They still want to build a community. They want to feel good about their own culture. And they want to believe they can work and actually have a tomorrow they're confident in. We don't really have that now. And the reason being is I've looked back, every single problem I've ever seen any community I've ever been part of have, or every big thing that's ever gotten in the way of my family or any of their dreams, was caused by the government. And it was caused because of greed, selling out. Every single one. But that's what we're facing in Ohio. Nobody wrote this speech for me. I push off poli-sci guys that try to influence me here because this is God's honest truth, and we all know it. We all know exactly what's happening. It's just that we all don't necessarily spend enough time to really be able to look at it over time and see exactly and put it all together. It's like some of my students I've told in the past. If you know how to play chess well enough, you can watch a chess match being played and start to figure out what the strategy is before it's done. So you know what's being happened. We're being sold out. Some other things I'd like to point out, just on my own travels. Since leaving Tiffin, I built something called Genius Garage. It's a 501c3 educational nonprofit. And the reason I did that is because I didn't like my college experience. I didn't think we did anything in the real world. I didn't think we had good mentor. I didn't think we had any good direction for the future. And I also thought it was pretty absurd, the cost of college, when here in Tiffin, when I was in Columbian, you could also go to Sentinel Vocational Center. You could learn welding. You could learn machining. You could learn electrical. You could learn auto body. Which, funny enough, if I would have just done that in high school and forgot about college, I'd been a lot farther ahead today. But in the 80s and 90s, we started pushing down the trades. Just college prep, college prep. Why? Because a 17-year-old kid can take a $100,000 loan with no business plan for a major that has no jobs. What does that do? It makes universities rich. But what you end up doing is graduating people that have no jobs that will be in debt for the rest of their lives, and you're creating political radicals. And you're destroying a nation's future before it ever begins. Because those people are taken off the game board. That's why I created Genius Garage. It was basically, if I'm going to be involved with cars and airplanes anyway, I ought to do it in a way that matters. So we build professional level racing cars. We build airplanes. I mentor them in automotive design. And I just find young people from colleges based on what's in their head and their hearts, because I didn't want them coming in based on their last name or what their family's worth is. They don't have to pay to be part of it. Done it for 11 years. I don't get paid doing it, but it's gotten them amazing jobs. Tesla, Lockheed Martin, kind of feel bad about Tesla now, but Lockheed Martin, GM, Ford, you name it, and a host of smaller ones. It's what's made the difference. Because I knew where American educational system left off. I knew what industry needs. But when you do that, you see the sausage is made, how the sausage is made. Now, I did get some great honors out of it. I have so much time vested in that I got a Lifetime Achievement Award from President Trump. Actually, I'm wearing the pin from it now. Believe it or not, I got one from Joe Biden as well, and I got to fly with the Air Force Thunderbirds. And I have to tell you, I'm actually more proud with the Biden one, because I'm probably the only straight white guy that's ever gotten something from that administration. But it mattered. But the reason I bring that up is, as an example, so I've been doing that for 11 years. It's a great thing. Millions of people have got to see that on YouTube. And Ohio has something called Ohio Means Jobs, where they will pay for 2 years the curriculum of students with the same age demographic as mine, 18 to say 25. They'll pay $7,000 a year minimum for the curriculum for 2 years. And then, believe it or not, they will pay for the employer the first 6 months' salary of the students if you teach them a trade and help facilitate and get them a job. That's exactly the thing Genius Garage does. I was so happy. This is great. Meanwhile, there's people who get full salaries to go around and do this. Take a look at the fine print. It will only support ex and recovering drug addicts, alcoholics, people born into extreme poverty, et cetera, et cetera. Ohio does absolutely nothing for the people who both want to work and can work and have made all the choices. But we'll throw money at that. That's nice and all, but how's that really helping our future? So that's one thing where there's no support. Two more things, and I'll bring it in. I want you to hear from Kim. She's fantastic. The Omega car. So back in 08, 09, we had old smooth-talking Barack Obama. Remember him? Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't pay that close attention to politics when I was in my 20s because honestly, I just wanted to build fast cars and chase pretty girls. That's kind of what I wanted to do in my 20s. But Obama came on, everybody got interested in, and I remember watching with some friends of mine here in Tiffin, the Democratic National Convention. And I mostly just grit my teeth because I thought he was full of crap. And I remember him say,
and that's on.
I will help Detroit retool so the energy efficient cars of tomorrow are built here for the sake of the nation and world. And I thought, bull crap. You're not Kennedy in the 60s. We're not going to the moon by the decade is out. You're not going to do it. It's never going to happen. And that stuck with me. And in the years after, just in doing my own car builds and things and looking at materials and such, I realized there's a whole myriad of ways that we can mass produce a car that's more sustainably recyclable, cheaper, more efficient, et cetera. And me being me, I decided I'm just going to build a car. So I did. Made it turbo diesel, 2-seat. And I said on video over 10 years ago, it will get over 100 miles a gallon and it will do 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds, mark my words. Because those are the two things I knew Americans could understand miles a gallon. At the time, we didn't pay attention to kilowatt hours and electric stuff. But then when I got it done, I realized I didn't have a voice. Nobody knows who the heck I am. And I just sat on it for 10 years. I was doing Genius Garage. And I decided to test it because I was going to speak out because I wanted to see Trump get in. And the reason being is from the left, we've seen the electric vehicle mandates from the Biden administration, right? And then old Gavin Newsom in California is trying to do the same thing where all electric cars, all cars sold new by a certain point or mass are electric. Well, not only is government regulation of industry one of the hallmarks of what fascism actually is, and yes, the left was practicing it in that regard, the problem with that is it destroys innovation. You're not letting the public decide what's the best product of the future at all. So I spoke out about it. So I tested the car. Long story short, first time out of the box, no tuning, after it had been sitting for 10 years without the aerodynamic, all the fairings on, got 104.7 miles a gallon, including stop signs and turns. Second day I did 0 to 60 testing, and the tires are on it were basically the same one that'll be on a Toyota Prius, and they're already 11 years old and kind of dried out. But it out-accelerated my Dodge Viper 0.2 of a second. Put all the accelerometers and stuff on it, exactly matched the C7 Grand Sport Corvette and a Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive with a full charge. So the third day, I'm like, hey, I bet the EPA's got some numbers. So I took the numbers on what's the carbon offset of burning a gallon of diesel? What's the carbon offset of generating a kilowatt hour of electricity? And then it's pretty easy to do the math and to figure out how much juice does it take to go 100 miles, and then how much diesel does it take? And my car on straight diesel has a lower carbon footprint per mile than an EV when charged at home. It's also cheaper than the electricity. We also have the infrastructure. The car is also it's more cost effective to manufacture. So you can buy a car for $20,000, $30,000 instead of $50,000 to $100,000. Oh, and also it has a much lower carbon footprint to manufacture than a conventional internal combustion engine car, let alone the horrifically toxic EV. So what I did is one guy in a barn who's a car builder and likes vintage race cars completely destroyed the leftist world narrative on this. That's what I talked about on Tucker Carlson's show. But I bring that up, I'm not glazing myself. I'm bringing it up because how much support do you think there is for any innovation that helps the people anymore in Ohio or our nation? Zero. Oh, but on that note, old Vivek and other politicians will say, hey, we need H-1B visas because America doesn't have young people that have the education and are smart enough to do it. That's why we have to bring them in. Yeah, really, I've been helping and mentoring the best young ones with no help from here. And I seem to remember over 100 years ago, there were a couple bicycle mechanics that made a functioning wind tunnel and tested airfoils for anybody did that and made powered flight with an engine that was hugely heavy for how much horsepower it made. You think they'd be doing anything like that today or have any support? No. So when an Indian anchor baby, because that's what he is by definition, I don't even care if people call me any kind of is for saying it, that's the truth. Because I don't think he cares about this land or our culture remotely as much. I think he's here to sell us out. When he says that, you know he's lying. Any politician that says we need H-1Bs because we don't have smart enough people, you know they're lying. But they want us all to forget who we are. They want us all to forget that we can stand up. Your shirt says we the people. The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people. Well, fortunately, I happen to be, as well as Kim, some people that are just crazy enough to be out here and run. And then the last thing, and this bothers me too, we got tariffs. Okay. What's the whole point of tariffs, Trump said? I mean, there's some negotiative things that can happen the world over, but it's supposed to bring manufacturing back, incentivize it, make it harder to manufacture overseas. Well, for the last year and a half or so, I've been prototyping watches, building a watch company. The parts are tariffed from Switzerland. The watch I chose to wear tonight was one I built as a prototype that meets NASA requirements for the astronauts. The Artemis mission is going to leave to circle the moon here soon, and then we're going back to the moon in a couple of years. I could supply all the astronauts watches made in the United States. How much support is there for anybody in Ohio or America to build new businesses here if you're not part of the billionaire elite or the political elite? Zero. Zero. I don't like any of those things. So in terms of running for governor of Ohio, the first thing that has to happen is we got to get rid of Vivek. He's a Trojan horse, period. I don't like the Democrat. She's a terrible choice, but Vivek is the worst. And I'll remind you all of something. In England's a disaster right now. I keep thinking, I'm like, should we all send them pen pal letters and say, hey, we got extra guns, we can loan you. But if you know, in London and around, how many of their mayors are Indian and Muslim? They're not English. It's not a racial thing. That's not England.
We have that problem here.
What do you think Vivek is? It's just caring about our own culture. We cannot be sold out. So here's the thing, data centers, they're going to be here, but that has to be done in a way to facilitate that it's appropriate for the people. They need to be a net gain for the state, not a net loss and a leech. Manufacturing. The reason why places like Toledo, Cleveland, Dayton, et cetera, have factories and nothing going on is there's some stupid roadblocks that stop big investors and companies from wanting to come here, period. That's why. The roadblocks have to end, so the people will actually come here. I don't mean just bending over them, giving them all of our money in one way or another. Just remove the roadblocks. The other thing is from the normies. Why isn't the government facilitating places where there can be less expensive places for individuals who are building a business or an innovation or a startup company to build something? Perhaps the government is also there to facilitate some legal help, the ability to incorporate, to build things you need to get you started. Because at the end of the day, the most important resource is also what this entire state is, the people. That is, and if you take anything away from tonight, maybe Kim will you'll have something great. If you take anything away tonight from me, this is the one thing I want you to take away. The only thing I care about in doing this is the people of Ohio. That's all the people of Ohio. Democrat, Republican, left, right, I don't care. Us. I don't want us to be sold out. I want us to have a future. Yes, I have a cute little girl here and another one on the way in a couple of months, but I want everybody's kid to have a future. I don't want to see our businesses go away. We even got policy in here for protecting our cultural heritage. So data centers can't come in and strong arm you out of your century-plus family-owned farm. Or like in Pittsburgh, destroy the racetrack. And Aaron may remember this too. Tiffin has a pretty courthouse, but that's not our original historic courthouse, which was torn down because we didn't have the foresight and there was no help from the state to actually have something that people way over 100 years ago built in hopes for their culture and heritage for tomorrow. If we don't protect and care about who we are, we will have no future. So guys, that's why I'm running for governor of Ohio. I'm happy to answer any questions, but right now I would love to turn this over to Kim and for you all to get to meet her.
thanks everybody. Isn't Casey kind of a genius after you've heard him? Yeah. So this year I wasn't actually going to get involved in politics at all. So to kind of just tell you my story about how I got involved in the campaign and what I have done in the past real quick. Back in 2022, after COVID happened, which is something that really engaged me with trying to figure out what was going on. So I've been, I'm over 50. I have a daughter who's 20. She's in college now. Was working with her throughout her whole life, making sure she had a great upbringing. She attended Christian school. She was in the dance program. And then in 2019 and 2020, when COVID hit, her school was trying to make her wear a mask, and the whole thing with forced vaccines was coming out. And I felt that it was wrong, and I immediately saw DeWine and Amy Acton on the TV doing their little dance together, and it struck me as ridiculous, clownish, like unbelievable that it was actually happening. So when her school started promoting these things, these masks and vaccines, I immediately was like, we have to do something about this. This isn't right. Nobody can tell you what to do like this with related to your health. So I took a lot of time to study the Constitution. I pulled out my old constitutions. I started like rooting through them, trying to understand how to apply the Constitution to what was actually happening. And I created some laminated papers like related to like our rights with the Constitution, and I would carry those around with me in my purse so that anytime I would go to the grocery store or shopping wherever, and somebody was asking me, that I had to put a mask on, I would whip it out and I would say, let me just explain something to you real quick here. And, this is our First Amendment, this is our Second Amendment, this is our Third Amendment, and what you're doing here right here is violating my Fourth Amendment of due process. And so I would kind of explain to them exactly what was going on and why I was not going to agree to their demands at the front door. And slowly but surely, I was able to convince some people I wasn't, but I learned how to write affidavits and basically started pre-printing those out and carrying them with me, and I would serve people with paperwork and put them on notice for violating my rights everywhere I went. So that was the way that I learned how to apply our Constitution to a tyrannical situation, quite frankly, that we were facing. So that is really what perked me up and got me involved in politics. I was never involved in politics before that. I was, again, busy with my family, my daughter. I was working full time. I've been in the software consulting industry for 25 years. I did a lot of travel with that as well. And because of that, I know deeply how that connects to the data centers. And the privacy issues that we all face as our data goes into those data centers, and the very lack of any privacy constraints or regulations that Ohio has around protecting our privacy with all of this information that is being fed into these data centers. So I have taken up that cross, I guess. I'm bearing that cross as I'm going around the state of Ohio. I'm reinventing the affidavit process, the constitutional process that I worked on during COVID, and I'm delivering that everywhere I go to people who are violating our rights. So last night or 2 nights ago, whenever it was, I went to the city of Trenton. They were trying to prevent anyone who wasn't part of the actual city limits of Trenton from being able to speak at the meeting. And I live 8 miles away from Trenton. So for me, I believe that potential contamination of groundwater could impact me, could impact my water, because if it impacts the groundwater and I'm only 8 miles away, the hydrologic situation of all that water connecting could contaminate my water as well. So I believe I have standing to speak in that meeting. The electric situation, again, only being 8 miles away. The state of Ohio shares grids with PJM. PJM is who brings our electricity into Ohio. They're going to have to build new substations. They're potentially going to have to, do a lot of infrastructure work to get more electricity to these giant monstrosities, which are, by the way, between 6 and 8 football fields in length. So I said again, I have standing with related to any electric changes that you're going to be making in this community because you're bringing in this data center. So I prepared a 13-page petition citing all of the constitutional benchmarks and case law that exist. And I sent them an email the day of the meeting, and I said, if you try to prevent me from speaking, I will pursue action. And when I arrived at the meeting, They had all read the email. I could tell when I walked in. They knew exactly who I was. And I said, oh, I want to sign in to speak. Is there a place to sign in? They said, oh, we're not doing that today. And I said, okay. So I sat down and waited, and they allowed me to speak. So that process helps to change what is happening in our local governmental situation. So as I go around with people, I would like to give people that education and make sure that everybody understands that you have the power. You're just not using it. So I'm telling everybody, get yourself an Ohio Constitution, get yourself a federal Constitution, learn how to apply what is written. That is the supreme law of the land. And so if you can figure out how to apply that particular situation to a scenario that you're in, for example, if I'm going to be living close to a data center and my water well could be drained from it, the lady in that situation, she has a right to petition her government to stop that data center because it could draw from her well and ruin her water rights. The state of Ohio, in our Constitution, in Article 1, Section 19, has a whole section about how if you have a well on property, you own that groundwater. So if they are going to destroy it with the data center, she has standing. Okay? And this process you don't need a lawyer to do it. You just need to sit down and focus, for a few hours and study it and figure out how to apply it. And then you just need to know how to write. I have lots of templates I'm happy to share with people that they can start with, but this is what they call pro se process. You don't need to hire an attorney. You just are exercising your rights because they're your God-given rights. And the people who are sitting behind, the bar in the council meeting or the trustee meeting, they are your public servants, okay? And somehow along the line, that got flipped, and they think that they are over you, but they are not. You are actually over them. We just forgot how to apply that. So I want to inspire and motivate everybody in here to use that process as you feel that you are being injured by this process of data centers that are happening or potential injury. With people signing NDAs, with people preventing you from speaking at the meeting, with people making emergency changes that are unlawful. All of these things are not lawful, and you have standing, every single one of you. Now, I can't go drive around to every city in Ohio and be there to do it for you, but you have the tools to do it yourself. So I'm just sharing that as my experience. I had to learn it myself, and I know that each one of you in this room has the capability. If you have the will to do it, you can do it. So that's what I've been doing as I've been going around Ohio, and I think I'll just circle back because I told you earlier that I wasn't going to run for anything this year. In 2022, when I ran for state rep, I fought against the system the whole time. The establishment did not want me to run in that race. They had already selected their candidate, similar to how they're selecting Vivek right now. They had selected the candidate that they wanted to win, and they did everything they could to try to destroy me during that race. It was quite a learning experience because yes.
Glossed and Kamala.
Same thing. So that was quite an eye-opening experience. I couldn't believe that our government was behaving this way. When you go back and you start studying the Declaration of Independence and how our Constitution was constructed and our founding fathers, and you see where our government is today, you have this aha moment. You're like, how did we get here? How did we get here? So when I ran in that race, I lost the primary, kind of in this similar situation that we are right now. And then in 2024, I ran for Congress. And part of my running in that race was I wanted to learn how little money you could raise and still win a race. Because I think it's ridiculous that you have to have $1 million to win a race. I think that normal people should be able to step up and win when they run in these races. So when I finished that, because I have a consulting background, of course I did the analysis and I figured out that I had gotten the most votes for the least amount of money spent. And I was very proud to have that data metric, because then I can take that and apply that to future races when I try to run, and I can limit the amount of money that I have to raise. But it's connected to obviously our race because, as you know, Vivek has raised $20 million, and I don't think we're anywhere near that. But This is
There's a difference, though.
Yeah.
It's not applied the same way.
not applied the same way. But this is a limiting factor in our situation. And again, I think that it's something that we can do in terms of limiting that once we're elected. So that was my experience in those two races. And then this year I had just decided in December, I told my husband, I was like, I'm not going to run for anything this year. You know, we're going to take this election cycle off, and I'm going to work on the Abolish Property Tax Initiative. Because I felt like that was a really noble cause. I have saw what my parents went through as they got older. I know what the young people are going through now with trying to be able to afford homes. And I thought, this is something I can get behind. I don't have to be I don't have to be a candidate, but I can help this initiative. So I called the group and I started to get information from them, and then boom, I got the call from Casey's campaign, and I learned what he was trying to do. And so I talked to my husband. Of course, he had to go look at Casey the Car Guy on YouTube and watch the videos. And
It's a little bombastic. Should I run with this guy?
and luckily, my husband actually builds model airplanes, little robotic model airplanes. He's done sailboats and race cars and airplanes. So he really connected, I think, with some of Casey's mechanical capabilities. So, you know, he said you should do this. He needs your help. He can't do it without you. And you've got this experience from these other two races. And he goes, yeah, I support this. So I said, okay, well, let's do this. And so that's where I am. And just as far as my background goes, I'm the youngest of 7. My father was actually a World War II Marine veteran. So my sister is here with me, so she's over there. She's my next oldest sister. But because of the spread of our family, you know, it was interesting because I grew up with a World War II generation as my father. So, you know, he was in Nagasaki, Okinawa, and Saipan. So, and he was in the 2nd Marine Division.
May I share a little side story on that?
Yeah.
So Kim was the youngest of 7. Her dad was in Battle of Okinawa. My grandfather was Battle of Okinawa. Her dad was Marines. My granddad was Army. They both landed at the same time, Easter Sunday, 45, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Army went south, Marines went north. And as the story goes, the Marines got a call and said, Army's getting lit up. Can you go down there? Marines are like, Army. So they go down. It was really bad. So the Marines came in and backed them up. And Okinawa was one of the bloodiest battles in World War II. But it's kind of fascinating, right? You know, our family members that came before us, Army went south, got lit up, and the Marines had to come in and help have their backs, just like Kim's got my back right now. And the one little thing I want to add, and forgive me, Kim, for jumping in. Vivek's a billionaire. Yeah, they got something like $20 million for the general and things coming like that. But keep in mind, we're in the primary. And a buddy of mine, we were joking around about, this should inspire all of you. We were laughing about it. Because when we came in swinging, we had a plan with some basic people, my wife, some smart people I knew in politics outside of the swamp to get this going. And in December, when we came in and announced, it was kind of like an under-the-radar supersonic airstrike that nobody saw coming. And everybody in the political land was like, what just happened? Is this a plant? It can't be real. And it was, because the establishment is so out of touch. They couldn't imagine the normal people mounting an actual charge to put that big a dent in them. And so my buddy was saying, it's like, how much money do you have in this dude so far? Like, you know, I told you guys, Vivek spent like $700,000 on jet fuel. No joke. Look it up in the last 6 months. I'm like, I don't know. It costs like $100 to register or something, and people are donating because they care. And he started laughing. And he goes, you mean you're taking out a billionaire right now for $100? I'm like, yeah, basically. But the fun thing about it is, all of the support of this campaign, I genuinely mean all of it, have literally come from the people of Ohio and the rest of the nation. Literally, just the people. There's no PAC money, and there's especially no foreign PAC money. So, the beauty of this is, and I hope you all remember this and tell your friends and kids, is that you still can run for office and have an effect. Because even if, hypothetically, we don't win, we're affecting change right now, and a change that wouldn't have already happened. Yeah. And when I look at just the money that's been put in and the effect we're actually having, the ROI for the people donating that we're able to push forward the values that we all care about and have an actual effect on our culture is huge. So I just wanted to say that because as a young person, I thought, why the heck would you donate to political anything? You don't see anything, and it's not the case at all. So we are having a massive effect, and we are scaring the heck out of the machine right now. But anyway, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of wrap up for me, I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Graduated from Oak Hills High School in 1990. Went to University of Cincinnati. I'm a Bearcat. I don't know if anybody of you in here are, but for most of my career, I lived here in the area. I worked in Columbus for a little while, Cleveland or Hudson area for a little while. I did live in Seattle right out of college for a bit, and then in Munich, Germany, working. So I've been around enough, but I always came back to Ohio. It's my home. I care deeply for it. So
Great.
that's it.
So you're both for the abolishment of what we're trying to do with the property tax.
Yes.
I signed the petition before I decided to run.
Great.
That means
And so did I. Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So we'll figure out a way to.
Because that's hurting our families big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Well, the other thing too, I want to make this note too. So the abolished property taxes is huge. Couple of points on that. Why is that important? Well, one, if you work your entirety of your life to own your own home, but if the government just keeps screwing up the entirety of the economy and inflation, and suddenly housing and all that is, and you can't afford your taxes, and they take it, do you really own your own property? No. So I don't like it. And then they say, well, oh my gosh, that funding goes to schools. Well, yeah, a lot of it does, which actually, the fact that the majority of the funding for schools comes from that is unconstitutional, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the point is this. What that does is by taking it away, it puts the power back to the people, because then it has to go to ballot to decide how to fund certain things. That's what the government doesn't want. All the government wants to do is grow and take more money and power. No nation has ever been governed into prosperity. It's the people that create it, not the government. So that brings the power back. Now the other thing is just the waste, fraud, and abuse as it relates to the Somalian, the Haitian frauds that are going on with these migrants. Again, cheap foreign labor, the trucking companies. That's insane. The amount of third worlders that are driving 18-wheelers. They're real scams, okay? We're way beyond the left calling us racist for pointing it out. It's just bad. Actually, I lost my train of thought. Forgive me. I did do that.
On the abolished
Happens once in a while.
yeah, no, I think on the abolished property tax thing, I'll add just real quick since you were in a break. I have been we started to campaign around a lot of the Republican events, and we quickly realized that was a low return on our investment because they've already endorsed our opponent.
Sold out.
Sold out.
20 seats and above.
So
Sad.
when we go to those meetings, it's like we get snared at. I took my petition to get signatures from one meeting. They would refuse to sign the petition paper just to get us on the ballot. They were like, no, we're not going to sign that. So we have faced some really interesting pushback, especially on this particular campaign.
We've gotten past it.
We have.
It's really
but-
fun when they attack online.
Yeah, but in one county that I went to do a presentation, we were talking about abolished property taxes, and this is just to give you some perspective of your local governments, your local fiscal officer, whoever it is, sitting at your city council or your trustee township or wherever you are. They are the ones that are pitching a complete fit about abolished property taxes, because one of the things that I found out during one of my visits is they took a bond out to build a new fire department in their area, and so they have a big payment every month that they have to make to pay off the bond for the fire department. So they did that with our property taxes. So just to give you a perspective, these are the kinds of things that are happening in your local governments if you are not involved. And I hear this man is running for Central Committee, so thank you for doing that. But every one of you needs to seriously consider about running for your city council or your trustee, because these are the things that are happening behind the scenes, and they are taking liberty with our money. So we'll figure out how to get things paid off. I have no doubt. There's plenty of places to take it from. But yeah,
I got
go
my
ahead.
train of thought back. So.
Yes, please, please.
The property taxes, that's one of twofold. But the other thing is we have to ban private equity companies and corporations from buying private family homes. They outcompete everybody. They outcompete all the young people so they can buy the homes. Then they immediately try to sell them or rent them back to you. But the worst thing, the most diabolical thing they can do is when you own a massive amount of homes, if you sell them at some new record prices to your friends, You artificially inflate the market. Politicians aren't going to say anything because guess what? Property taxes go up.
Right.
And then people don't say much because they think they're worth more, even though they're not. And then people take out bigger home equity loans and such and go more in debt. So there's some very disgusting, vicious cycles that are literally destroying our and our young people's future. But guys, that's really it. Thank you. We're having a huge impact. So we shared with you some of the strifes and difficulties, but frankly, they're kind of fun to overcome. I kind of like it. Maybe that probably means I've been fighting too hard, but some of this actually is enjoyable, and it's enjoyable fighting because I see we're having a tangible effect that needs to happen. And I'm just so happy all of you are here, and I hope you do consider donating to the campaign as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much again for coming to our township meeting a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that we talked about is, everybody's talking about these moratoriums. I'm at the point where some of these states are doing the bans. So I'm for the bandwagon, thank you very much. So I want to know, when you become the governor, are you going to just do a ban against any more? We've got 220 in the state of Ohio. We don't need any more. So I want a ban. Screw the damn moratorium. We're done with those. We're done playing.
The moratorium is necessary, but in a sense, it's also weak.
Yes.
And they all knew everything that was going to happen before they brought them here. So there does have to be a hold on them immediately. Because if they can't happen in a way that's a net gain for the state, they should not happen, period. I have no interest in there being any more leeches on the state, any more drains on the people or our future, period. And because we just can't afford any more. This is just silly.
So you're for the ban?
Yes. And the thing of it is, though, I did mention, there is a way to do these. If it can be done, that it's in the best interest of the people, the state, energy, things are being built. But if they can't make it in the best interest of people, they need to stop. Fair? You, sir.
I just wanted to mention real quick that there's 6 of us here that are running for Central Committee.
Oh, thank you.
Seneca County and Sandusky County is over 10% on the axe to tax. We've been working at that hard, so you have a lot of grassroots here active, so I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah, who all's running? Stand up. I'd like to see you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
No, this is great. This is great. Genuinely. And especially you young guys. You can run. We've met some 18 and 20-year-olds that have ran for various things and gotten on. Yeah, Eric is. Yeah.
Please do support everybody.
No, he's great. Yeah, for sure.
I'm 70. Come on, get
You,
on
sir?
the bandwagon.
Main reason that I am here, main reason that I'm going to be supporting both of you, and I will not vote for Vivek. I don't care. I will not vote for Amy. You got DeWine's COVID team in APAC red or APAC blue.
Yeah.
And when I say that, the main reason I'm voting for you is because you don't take APAC money.
That's correct.
The fact that Israel has control over 98% of our government, 98% of APAC supported candidates get elected. The fact that you're not in that is the reason that I'm voting for you. That's the main reason I will not vote for an APAC candidate ever again. I know there are Israeli supporters in here. They are a drain on our country. They take more money from us than any other country, and it's disgusting to me. So I appreciate you for not taking APAC.
I appreciate that. It's the United States of America. Like I said with the data centers, is it a net gain or a net loss? And I don't want to take any support from something that, one, is not American and doesn't appear to be adding to our nation at the moment.
Thank you.
Casey?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm running for state representative for District 88, so
Yeah.
tonight, just like you,
Yeah.
and born and raised. And one of the things that everybody needs to know in this room tonight is that I've been doing some research, and there's a House Bill 116.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually in the Senate right now. You need to be informed that this is actually to enact blockchain technology basics. But what it does is it sets up the framework for cryptocurrency in the state of Ohio. It's going to move us in the direction of a cashless society. So there's actually my opponent supports this, ironically, but I bring it up because we don't just have an issue with data centers. Soon, if this HB 116 goes through the Senate and ends up on the governor's desk, potentially, it's going to give a legal strong arm to what's called digital asset mining businesses. This is nothing more than server farms that have to do with cryptocurrency. So it's another thing that's going to pull from the grid. This is not what Ohio needs. We don't need more things sucking our natural resources, our grid, and taking up farmland. So I'm definitely fighting against these things.
Yep.
There's three foundational blocks that you guys need to understand they're needed for a surveillance state system, because we're being set up for it. You need digital ID with biometrics.
Eric,
You need AI. Yeah.
would you like to chat on this a bit later in case some other people have questions before
Oh,
the
yeah,
evening's
yeah,
over?
sorry.
No, we can. Did you have any points that you
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to bring up?
AI data centers.
Yeah, one thing I will mention, AI data centers is bad. The other thing is we have no protection from AI as people at all right now. Our likenesses, our voices, our IP, we need full protection from AI, period. And any governing body or politician that is facilitating that unregulated is not acting in the best interest of the people, period. He's acting in other interests. I'll just say that. Are there any other questions, guys? You, sir.
Yeah. Ohio right now is 4th in drug overdoses in the country. It's twice the national average.
Correct. It's not even coming up hardly at all.
Yeah. And what do you think you could do to help with crime, poverty, homelessness, and maybe criminal mental rehabilitation systems?
I'm glad you brought that up because all of the things legal, the list is long. The simplest answer is you cut it off at the source and have the balls to do it. May I say it that way? Mm-hmm. Why are the drugs coming here? Why are they facilitating? Ohio's on the crossroads I-75 and I-80 once. There's a hell of a lot of drug trafficking. There's also a hell of a lot of human child trafficking. It's not talked about, but it's actually really bad. You cut it off at the source. You cut it off at the knees hard and fast. One thing that specifically I want to do is deputize a team of ex-special ops guys, special forces guys, specifically to track, target, and hunt child and human traffickers in Ohio. To make Ohio the most dangerous place on earth for them. Because they won't come here. We know it's bad. There's somebody down in Columbus worth many billions of dollars that was facilitating a man for a decade who had full power of attorney over his entire estate and was given the second most valuable home in Ohio. And the person is Les Wexner facilitating Jeffrey Epstein here in Ohio. But if you look at the legal system, there's other things, obviously, with relating to the prisons and what is happening there. Radicalized judges that left people on the street that shouldn't be on. We don't need arenas of roots because that's a disastrous thing that happened. And the other thing is if you look at public defending attorneys, their caseloads are absurdly high. So what good is it to have a publicly appointed attorney for someone if you can't afford one? If anybody with money can hire someone to do a better job than your host, that's not balanced law. So I appreciate bringing that up because I do care. Thank you. Anybody else, guys? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think on deleting voting machines, going to paper ballots?
I am in favor of anything that lock, stock, and barrel enables absolute transparency and lack of cheating. Fraud has happened since the beginning of voting. I don't like it. Nobody should like it. And anything that's being done with some sort of dodge to stop something that directly is combating voter fraud, those people are your enemies. So without going into huge detail of it, I'm wildly proactive relating to stopping voter fraud. Because if we don't have a fair election, what do we have? Anything else, guys, before we just mingle and hang out and maybe get some more drinks? Yes, sir.
I have a question, and that is that the way you've described our society, it's the way historically every society that's completely been devastated was on that track, right? So you're talking about how can we turn it around. So my question is, from a moral foundation standpoint, how do you how do you propose that we should be attacking things like abortion and gay marriage and the transgender issue so that we can actually be doing justice? Like, what is your mindset around that?
I appreciate you bringing that up. If you look at the United States as a whole, and we look at what created it, the fact of the matter is the United States of America is a Christian nation. It was built and is founded on Christian values. It did a pretty darn good job. Best nation in the world. But that also put us in a place where we get taken advantage of. Because Christians are pretty darn kind people and helping. Problem is, there's a lot of sick things happening out there. Abortion's a hot button topic. Biggest reason is it matters. It's a pretty terrible thing. But there's also a lot of money behind that war. And here's an ugly truth to the matter. If a so-called nonprofit or charity exists to fix a problem, and it never fixes the problem, what's it actually doing?
Perpetuating its existence?
Correct. And for instance,
I didn't know if that was rhetorical, sorry.
No, it's somewhat, but no, I appreciate you saying that. The abortion thing is horrific. I don't like it. At all. And the worst thing that comes of it, there's also industries and things. If you want to find a lot of these child traffickers, go hang out at Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
And it gets worse from there. So I don't like it. But this is a Christian nation, and our heritage does matter, who we are. Now, I'm not taking away from anybody else's. I frankly wish every nation around the world would take more pride in who they are. If I go to France, I want a bunch of snooty French looking at me funny, being angry because I don't speak French and eating cheese. I don't go there to see Algerians. If I go to England, I want bad food and warm beer. Okay? I didn't go there to see a bunch of people that came from Iraq and Iran. I frankly think every nation in the world should care more about their culture. If I go to Japan, I want to see Japanese people. If I go to India, I don't know if I'm going to go to India, I would want to see their culture. So we have to be more proud of who we are. And I don't think we've ever gone wrong with holding good American conservative Christian values. And that's what I'll say for now.
What do you think about...
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I have more like... Just want to encourage you that there needs to be a courageous stand in these moral issues, because that's exactly what all the other sides don't do well.
Correct. The reason
and you have to be right, too. And
correct.
So you need to get good advisors, because there's a lot of wrong. But I'm just going to, I don't want to sound critical. I came here to learn, and I'm not a supporter yet. I just want to say, when you talk to a room of people who are all the victims, which is what Ohioans are, of everything you've described, it's easy to rally temporary support and even some people to say, yeah, I like the Casey guy. But the voiceless ones who are being slaughtered and Planned Parenthood and in people's homes by the mothers taking pills, those are the ones that need men to stand up and have a voice. And I just want to challenge you. I know you're not quite where I'm at yet with it, but I wanted to bring that up to you, okay?
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Since this is Tiffin, remember I said how I started this speech? If you care about people, tell them the truth. If you care about yourself, lie. So I'm going to break the fourth wall or something in politics. The reason I didn't directly answer your question, and I told you about my values and where I stand and how to do something, is because we live in a nasty world. We do. It's a nice place if we go outside, but there's a lot of horrific things out there. One of the horrific things that relates to the industry of politics, because it is like a political industrial complex, and that also exists around abortion. If I say slightly the wrong thing, there's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on the left. There's people on the right that want to perpetuate it too, behind closed doors. I don't want to lose the war because I said one slightly the wrong thing here now. But what I wanted to do is tell you guys where my values are, not because I'm dodging a question. I don't have anybody in my back pocket.
No, I
but because I got to get through this to win it for everybody and all of our kids.
Saying,
you know what I mean?
I do. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate the fact that one of the things that was just so encouraging to my spirit when I was listening to you talk is you're one of the few conservatives that actually cares about things like the culture and our natural resources and the environment. You know, growing up, you know, conservative Republicans, they care about the GOP, the economy, or the GDP, excuse me. But no one cares about the American culture, and you do, and I really appreciate that about you. And you recognize that the Christian heritage is a part of that. That's why our organization is called Heritage Restored. But I want to ask, what if Christianity is not just like a part of the painting of America or something on the mantelpiece, but what if the revealed law of God in Scripture is the actual just representation of the Creator of the universe's holiness, and that His truth and His gospel is going to be the substantive thing that actually brings about change and actually brings about revival in the nation?
Well, if I heard that correctly, then I would say your lead-in would be, if I may be slightly theological, that if the United States is formed on Christian values and we uphold that, then what we're actually doing is upholding something that is spiritually more holy for the betterment of all mankind. And we probably ought to do that. Is that, you were leading with that?
Yeah, and so when you look at Scripture, the Scriptures promise that Jesus Christ is going to increasingly bring peace and salvation and holiness, righteousness, and justice to the nations. And that happens when the gospel goes forth, people are converted and saved. And then we're doing the things that we do in obedience to Scripture because God says. So like when my brother Michael here talks about the abortion issue, God says, "Thou shalt not murder." As a matter of fact, in Exodus chapter 21, it is a capital crime if someone causes the accidental death of the unborn child. So how much more is God angry and demands justice for the intentional murder of the unborn? I know I'm talking about controversial things and that you wouldn't be...
It shouldn't be controversial, and I appreciate you bringing that up. The best I can say is I think about this a lot.
Okay.
I think about all these things a lot that we've talked about tonight, and I appreciate you bringing them up. I'm not a pastor, I'll be honest. I'm an imperfect man that tries to do better the next day than I did today. So I would just say I would love to have a talk with you sometime about that more. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great. Let's make sure we connect afterward. Anybody else before we quit? I think we should eat some more pizza. We don't want to let the Rinos go to waste and maybe get a drink. Yes, sir.
God bless you for what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you.
One thing that's kind of worried me, because I was telling some of my close friends where I was going to be tonight. One of the things that started like kind of worrying me is they didn't know who you were. I thought they would. I mean, I remember seeing your video when you announced your campaign. So like, I subscribe to it, so I get your videos when they come out. I thought more people that I knew that. Like one of my closest friends does. We've talked about you before. Mm-hmm. I thought more of my friends would, and so it kind of worries me. Like, I don't want to use the term the normies.
I say normies in a nice way.
I mean, but yeah, like especially around here, it kind of worries me that they don't. Like, what's your strategy to try to push out?
I know where you're going. The truth of the matter is, Vivek is an unusual character. He ran for president a couple years ago, and then he just kept pumping money, and it's always. And he did buy his way on every podcast. Mm-hmm. But the positive side of that is, I don't know if you all seen the meme with Franklin the turtle. Yes. No, Franklin has had enough of Vivek Ramaswamy. You got to realize that normal people at large want to go on with their lives. They're trying hard enough. They're not necessarily as into politics as everybody else. So yeah, people know him well, but at the same time we use that against him. It's doing events like this in person, always hugely important to then let everybody know. And then it's building and using social media the best that we can. There's some things that, we only have so much time. But you have to, it's political warfare, doing the best you can with what you got. But I appreciate your concern. We're on it. And that's one reason why it helps to donate, too. All right, guys, is there anything else before we mingle and have some fun? And also, it's probably cooler down there, and there's a bunch of nice sitting places. I say we all just go hang out at the middle floor. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you all. Thank you, Kim.